This is Ralph Losey, the director and verifier of Echoes of AI, where the podcasters themselves are AI and they write the podcast, not me.
You ever feel like with all this political back and forth, like we're watching a tennis match?
Oh, yeah.
Except instead of a ball, it's like our country
Right.
being volleyed between these extremes. And honestly, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
You're exhausted.
Yeah.
We're all exhausted.
We are.
But what if there was a way to just, I don't know, put down the rackets and actually talk?
Well, you sent in some pretty fascinating material that suggests exactly that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you know the most interesting part?
What's that?
It's not just some policy wonk think tank.
Okay.
Healing a Divided Nation was co-created by legal mind Ralph Losey
Okay.
and some cutting-edge AI like ChatGPT and Google Gemini.
I call it AI. Like the robots are going to like save us from ourselves.
Not quite robots, but in a way, yes.
Okay.
What's really amazing is they used AI in a really innovative way, almost like a supercharged brainstorming session.
Okay.
They had the AIs argue with each other.
Really?
Adversarial debate, they call it, to test the plan from all angles.
Oh, wow.
Really stress test it for weaknesses.
So it's not just like a bunch of liberal AI or conservative AI ideas.
No.
It's been kind of forged in this digital debate fire.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's designed to be truly nonpartisan,
Okay.
appealing to folks across the political spectrum.
Yeah.
It's like, remember Lincoln's House Divided speech?
Yeah.
This plan is saying, okay, we hear you, Lincoln. Let's actually do something about it.
All right. I'm intrigued, but let's get practical here.
Sure.
What does this AI-powered peace treaty actually says we do?
Well, it lays out 11 steps,
Okay.
broken down into 3 phases.
Okay.
It starts with laying the groundwork for unity.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting for you, especially as lawyers and legal tech folks.
Okay. Hit me with it.
Step 1 is all about going local,
Okay.
empowering communities to build unity from the ground up.
Okay.
It's recognizing that national level politics can feel so distant.
Yeah.
And let's be honest,
Yeah.
often just makes things worse. Right? Like who trusts a politician these days anyway?
Exactly.
But my neighbors, I can at least have a barbecue with them and, find some common ground.
Exactly. And this plan is about giving communities the tools and resources to identify their unique challenges and design solutions that actually work for them, not some top-down mandate.
So what, every town gets a unity starter kit or something?
Not quite a starter kit.
Okay.
But they do suggest a local unity fund to support these initiatives.
Okay, I can get behind that. What's next?
Step 2 focuses on what they call a civic education reboot. It's about moving beyond rote memorization of facts and dates.
Okay.
And really instilling a deeper understanding of American history,
Okay.
our shared values, and our diverse perspectives.
I'm picturing less about, memorizing the preamble and more about like actually discussing what it means to be American in the 21st century
Yes.
with all its complexity.
Got it. It's about fostering informed and engaged citizens who can have productive conversations about our shared future, even when we disagree.
Right.
And get this, the plan suggests developing this curriculum with input from both sides of the aisle.
Okay, that's smart. No one wants to feel like they're being force-fed one ideology.
Right.
But how do you get people to actually, listen to each other in the first place?
That's where step 3 comes in.
Okay.
Empathy boot camp.
Empathy boot camp.
Yeah. It's about using structured dialogues and role-playing to help people understand different perspectives and, importantly, break down stereotypes.
Okay.
Think of it like conflict resolution meets improv class.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's not just about sitting around and saying, I understand you.
Right.
It's about actually getting people to walk in each other's shoes.
Exactly. And the plan even suggests using AI here.
Really?
Not to replace human interaction,
Fine.
but to create simulations and scenarios that can really stretch our empathy muscles.
AI-powered empathy training.
Yep.
I got to admit, this is getting pretty wild.
It is.
So what's next in this grand plan to unite America?
That brings us to the second phase.
Okay.
Collaborative action for polarization reduction.
Okay.
And this is where the rubber really hits the road.
Let's hear it.
Step 4 is about media literacy 2.0.
Okay.
Equipping people with the tools to become, as they put it, truth detectives in the digital age.
Right.
It's about learning to critically evaluate information, spot misinformation, and find credible sources.
So less about blindly sharing that article your aunt posted on Facebook
Exactly.
and more about actually checking the facts.
Yes, and this is where understanding AI comes in handy.
Okay.
The plan talks about new methods of prompt engineering.
Prompt engineering, what is that?
Basically, teaching people how to ask AI the right questions to get to the truth.
Wait, so we're fighting AI misinformation with AI?
Yes,
Mind blown.
that's the beauty of it.
Okay.
It's about using technology to empower people,
Right.
not control them.
I'm starting to see how this all fits together. What else does this plan recommend?
Step 5 is focused on making tech work for us, not against us.
Okay.
It's about promoting ethical tech use, respectful online engagement, and working with tech companies to create algorithms that reward civil discourse
Okay.
instead of just amplifying the loudest, angriest voices.
For less doom scrolling and more constructive conversations online.
Right.
Sign me up.
Imagine scrolling through your social media feed
Yeah.
and actually seeing thoughtful debates and nuanced perspectives
Right.
instead of just inflammatory rants.
That would be a game changer. But let's be real. How do you get people to actually log off the outrage machine and engage in real-world solutions?
That's where steps 6 and 7 come in.
All right.
Step 6 is all about incentivizing collaboration on local projects
Okay.
that address shared challenges like infrastructure, public health, environmental sustainability. Imagine neighbors working together to make their community better regardless of their political differences.
That's the kind of unity I can get behind.
Right.
What about step 7?
Step 7 is about creating platforms for real productive dialogue.
Right.
Think virtual forums, town halls, even just community meetings where people can engage in respectful conversations and work towards solutions together.
So less shouting matches on cable news and more thoughtful discussions in our own backyards.
Exactly. And this is where your legal expertise could be so valuable.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine helping to design these platforms, ensuring they're fair, inclusive, and actually lead to meaningful outcomes.
I love that. This plan is really starting to resonate, but we've only scratched the surface, haven't we?
We still got a whole phase to go.
Okay, let's take a breather and come back to that in part 2.
All right, so we've laid the groundwork. We've gotten people talking and collaborating.
Right.
But how do we make sure those changes actually stick? That's where phase 3 comes in.
Okay.
Sustaining unity through systemic change.
Okay, so this is where we move beyond the warm and fuzzy stuff
Yes.
and get into the nitty-gritty of actually changing the systems that got us into this mess in the first place.
You got it. And it starts with step 8,
Okay.
bolstering trust in our elections.
Okay.
It's about making sure every vote counts,
Right.
that the process is transparent, secure, and everyone feels confident in the outcome.
Man, election integrity is such a hot-button issue these days.
It is.
But I think we can all agree that, a healthy democracy relies on people trusting the system.
Absolutely. And this plan isn't about pointing fingers
Right.
or pushing one side's agenda.
Okay.
It lays out practical solutions like transparent audits, improved technology, and making voting more accessible for everyone.
So less about fighting over who won,
Right.
and more about making sure the game is played fairly in the first place.
Exactly. It's about restoring faith in our democracy no matter who you vote for.
Okay, elections are foundational, but what about the political system itself? Is this plan brave enough to tackle that beast?
Oh, you bet it is. Step 9 dives headfirst into bipartisan political reforms.
Okay.
We're talking about things like ranked choice voting, independent redistricting, and more transparency in government.
Whoa, hold on. Those are some pretty big swings.
They are.
What's the thinking behind those?
It's all about making the system more responsive to the needs of all Americans,
Gotcha.
not just the loudest voices or special interests.
Okay.
Ranked choice voting helps ensure that elected officials actually represent the majority.
Okay.
Independent redistricting helps prevent gerrymandering
Right.
and creates fairer elections, and increased transparency helps hold our leaders accountable.
So less about partisan gridlock and more about finding common ground and actually getting things done.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's about making the system work better for everyone, regardless of which side of the aisle you're on.
I'm starting to see why this plan is getting so much attention.
Yeah.
It's not about Democrats versus Republicans.
Yeah.
It's about Americans working together to create a better future.
Exactly. And it recognizes that political dysfunction isn't the only thing dividing us.
Right.
Step 10, tackle something that's been a problem for a long time.
Okay.
Socioeconomic disparities.
This is where the rubber really meets the road, right?
Yes.
Economic inequality is a
Yeah.
huge driver of division.
Absolutely. And the plan doesn't shy away from that.
Good.
It proposes promoting policies that create a more just and equitable society,
Okay.
like job creation, affordable health care,
Right.
and equitable access to education.
So less about us versus them and more about lifting everyone up together.
Exactly. It's about creating opportunities for everyone to succeed,
Right.
regardless of their background or zip code.
All right, we've talked about fair elections, political reform, and economic justice.
Yeah.
What's the final piece of this puzzle?
The final step, step 11, might be the most important of all. Embedding empathy and perspective-taking into the very fabric of our institutions.
Okay, that sounds like a tall order.
It is.
How do we make empathy a core value of our society?
It starts with education.
Yep.
Imagine schools where kids learn to understand and appreciate different perspectives, where they practice conflict resolution and develop their emotional intelligence.
So less about teaching kids what to think
Yes.
and more about teaching them how to be to think.
Exactly. And it goes beyond schools.
Okay.
Imagine workplaces, government agencies,
Okay.
even law enforcement,
Wow.
all incorporating empathy training into their standard practices.
That would be a game changer. Imagine a world where we approach disagreements with curiosity and understanding instead of anger and judgment.
That's the vision this plan is putting forward.
Yeah.
It's not just about fixing our political system. It's about evolving as human beings.
It's like if AI can learn to understand our minds, shouldn't we be able to understand each other a little better too?
Now you're getting it.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing our shared humanity even when we disagree.
This whole plan is so inspiring.
It is.
It's practical.
Yeah.
It's hopeful. And it's something we can all be a part of.
Exactly. And the best part is you don't have to wait for someone else to fix things.
Oh, really?
You can jump in and start making a difference right now.
Really? How?
The EDRM, the organization behind this plan,
Okay.
is actively recruiting volunteers for all sorts of projects.
Oh, yeah.
They need lawyers to help with election integrity initiatives, tech folks to work on ethical AI development,
Right.
community organizers, educators, everyone.
So you're saying our listeners can actually be on the ground floor of this movement,
Yes.
helping to build a more united America.
Absolutely. And it's not just some feel-good volunteer work.
Right.
They're talking about concrete, impactful projects that could really move the needle on these issues.
This is incredible. I'm already feeling more hopeful just hearing about it.
And that's the point. This plan is about empowering people, giving them the tools and resources to make a real difference.
I know our listeners are probably itching to get involved. Where can they learn more?
Head over to the EDRM website. We'll put the link in the show notes. You can read all about the 11 steps, explore different projects, and even sign up to volunteer right there.
This is a call to action, folks. Don't just sit there and complain about how divided our country is.
Right.
Do something about it.
Yes.
Volunteer, donate.
Yeah.
Start a dialogue in your community. Whatever you can do to contribute to this movement.
Exactly. Channel that frustration into something positive.
Right.
Join the movement. Be a part of the solution.
This is exciting stuff. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
We still need to unpack that final phase, sustaining unity.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break and come back to that in part 3. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From rebuilding trust in our elections to promoting empathy in our institutions.
Yeah.
But it all boils down to this: how do we actually sustain unity in the long run?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And
Yeah.
that's where this final phase of the plan, sustaining unity, gets really interesting. You see, it's not just about implementing a bunch of one-off solutions.
Right.
It's about creating a cultural shift,
Okay.
a fundamental change in how we approach disagreement and division.
So less about putting Band-Aids on the problem
Right.
and more about addressing the root causes
Yes.
of our societal fractures.
Exactly. And it recognizes that unity isn't something you achieve overnight.
Right.
It's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
A commitment to constantly working towards a more perfect union, as the saying goes.
I love that. It's about embracing the idea that we're all in this together,
Yes.
even when we disagree,
Yeah.
and that our differences actually make us stronger.
You got it. And this plan provides a framework for how we can do that,
Oh,
how we
excellent.
can have those tough conversations,
Mm-hmm.
bridge those divides, and
Correct.
ultimately create a society where everyone feels heard, respected, and valued.
You know, thinking back to Lincoln's House Divided speech,
Yeah.
it was a call to action in a time of immense division and uncertainty.
Yep.
And it feels like this plan is doing the same thing for us today.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we have a choice to make.
Mm-hmm.
We can either continue down the path of division and polarization, or we can choose a different path, a path of unity, hope, and progress.
And this plan isn't just some pie-in-the-sky idealism.
No.
It's a concrete roadmap with actionable steps that we can all take part in.
Exactly. It's about empowering individuals and communities to be the change they want to see in the world.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play in building a more united America.
And that's what's so exciting about it.
It is.
It's not about waiting for some politician or savior to come along and fix everything.
Right.
It's about taking ownership of our own destiny and working together to create the future we want.
You know, one of the most powerful things about this plan
Yeah.
is that it doesn't pretend to have all the answers.
That's
It's not a rigid ideology or a top-down mandate.
right.
It's a framework for ongoing dialogue,
Well,
collaboration, and experimentation.
so it's like a living document,
Yeah.
constantly evolving and adapting to the challenges we face.
Exactly. And that's why they're encouraging everyone to get involved, to share their ideas, to contribute their skills or passions to this movement.
I know our listeners are probably feeling inspired right now,
I hope so.
eager to jump in and make a difference. What's the best way for them to get started?
Head over to the EDRM website.
Okay.
We'll put the link in the show notes.
Okay.
They have all the information you need.
Okay.
Details on the 11 steps,
Mhm.
specific projects you can join,
Right.
resources for community organizing everything.
This is a call to action, folks.
Yeah,
Don't just sit there and scroll through another doom and gloom news feed.
right.
Get out there and do something.
Yes.
Volunteer, donate, start a dialogue in your community,
Yeah.
whatever you can do to contribute to this movement.
Remember, even small actions can have a ripple effect.
Right.
If enough of us commit to building a more united America,
Yeah.
we can actually make it happen.
That's it for our deep dive into healing a divided nation.
Well said.
We hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as we did. And remember, the power to heal our nation lies within each of us.
It does.
Let's choose unity, choose action, and choose hope.
I love it.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. And remember, the conversation doesn't end here.
Keep it going.
Keep learning, keep talking, keep building bridges.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.